watercolor show. Oh my gosh, if that doesn't inspire anybody. And what I really liked about it was that you had the traditional, wonderful, technologically beautiful paintings. Then you had those who were more abstract, more experimental. I love that combination, and I love the fact that it sent a message to every artist. Hey, this is what you want to do. Let's go do it, whether it's doing traditional or non-traditional. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hi, I'm Burridge, obviously, and I'm so glad to be here with the San Diego Watercolor Society to show you just another technique. All right, just another technique, and I hope you try it. Well, you can see behind me, we've been doing this past couple of weeks, working with the undraped model. And we have some of those, those crazy 2-minute poses, which just drives us nuts, right? And then we have the ones that take a little bit longer, maybe 4 or 5-minute poses. And then we get into color and working on quarter sheets. And the whole point of that is to do your interpretation of the model, not try to do a Michelangelo perfect body drawing. They're beautiful. We know they're beautiful. And they are. But people today really want to see how you interpret the figure, whether it's dancing, laying on a sofa, just being there. I like to give my paintings when I work with the, right now it happens to be the female form, some kind of a composure. They have an attitude. Look, they all have an attitude. And not one of them is looking out the window forlorn. Okay. Some of you will get that, some of you won't. Anyway, so these are from my painting classes with my model, Pash, and we do a whole lot of warm-ups, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. All right. One of the reasons I wanted to point this out tonight was that I think by taking figures and adding them into your abstracts, even into your abstract, it tells a story. It tells a story. Think about it. And I think that for me, paintings that communicate the best are the ones that tell a story. And I've been told I've been a storyteller, so that's what I'm going to be doing right now. So let's go on the overhead. I'm going to show you the materials I'll be using tonight. Thanks, Kate. All right. So I'm just going to work on paper tonight. I have 3 different kinds of papers. These are some of my favorite. Fabriano, we all know about how wonderful Fabriano is. And this happens to be Studio Watercolor Hot Press, which is a 9x12 pad. And look, it's already done. How wonderful is that? Right. It's beautiful. It's especially really nice when you're traveling. You have to take a whole lot of material. So that's Fabriano. I always like to say if it was good enough for Michelangelo, it was good enough for me. So that's what I use for Fabriano. Now, speaking of that, you gotta try Kilimanjaro. This is from Cheap Joe's. It also comes in a spiral bound, heavy duty paper. Oh my, there is some watercolor on this. It's one of my favorite watercolor papers, Kilimanjaro. And look, it comes in a pad. Just to let you know, okay? This is a 12x9. And yes, it's a 300. I like the 300 pound. You can really beat it up. Okay. I do like the fact that it's in spiral bound. The other one you've seen in my other workshops, Strathmore, Bristol. I love this too. It's a beautiful paper. Beautiful paper. And it's smooth. What I like about it is that it takes a beating. It has a vellum surface, is what they say. Okay. So these are the papers I use when I go to do a painting. What we're going to do tonight, though, we'll be working on fast sketches using black and white paint. So the first thing we're going to be doing tonight is to take there's a whole sheet of Fabriano. I'm going to fold it in half.
Watch your head.
Oh, wash my head, thanks. Fold it in half, just like that. Here's the trick. Fold it back the other way. You will not be doing magnificent paintings tonight, but you're going to have a lot of great starts. Okay, so relax, breathe. And now that I've folded this paper both directions, it's a lot easier to tear. I don't use scissors. There you go. It's perfect. So I have a whole lot of these. So that's half of those. And these are strictly for your warm-ups. Okay. I like to have a whole lot of them ready to go. So I don't have to stop in the middle and start tearing, because once I start painting, I really start painting. So while you are tearing your papers, everybody, I'm just going to point out to you that even though I have all my colors that I want to use, these are dabs of colors from my Holbein tubes. I also have some black. This is my black. Right from the tube, this is my lamp black. Any black will do. Mars black, lamp black, bone black, any black will do. There's white. This is titanium white. Oh, wonderful stuff, right? These are all Holbein paints. Now, I do use a lot of white in my work. So much white that I've decided to start using some white gesso for my white. There's my white gesso.
They can't see it.
They can't see it?
It's too high up on your.
Too high up in the, okay, I'll move it over. Sorry, everybody. I'll get it closer. I'll move the camera. There you go. Anyway, I'll rearrange it. There you go.
That's bad.
Thanks. Sure is nice to have Kate here in the studio to make sure I know what I'm doing here. Okay, so now I'm really, really fortunate to have a live model when we do our, painting the model pass in my workshops. But I want to show you, those of you may have missed it, or at least incorporate some of what I'm about to show you into a practice form of painting the human figure. All right. I'm going to use a big brush. I'm going to use this is a 1-inch wide brush. I have my black paint and my white paint, titanium. I even have my gesso. I am not going to use any color right now. Now my tape, I use my tape, just regular box tape, self-adhesive. And I make a little ribbon of it like that, right? And I put it down here on the surface. And I put it down like that, so it doesn't move around. I want to show you a couple of things that's great to practice. The first thing is, and if you've been in my workshops before, you know I love to do this magical page. I'm gonna do it right now. Here's a full sheet because gets to be way too much. We're gonna hold on to this one in a minute. Whoa, sorry for the bounce. Here we go. We're going to be doing carrots. The way to do carrots, you get the largest brush you have, and I mean the largest brush you have, and get as much water as you possibly can in here. And we're going to do carrots, and watch how these carrots become figures. And these are great things to be able to put in your landscapes, in your abstract paintings. There we go, lots of water. So first the head. Here comes the head. There's the head. Nothing more than that. Then you push down. There you go. And pick up. There's your figure. Did someone say carrot? Okay, let's do another one. And you do lots of these. Make sure the heads aren't so big. There's another one. Let's do another one. If you make the heads too big, make sure that the torso is larger. See, look at this. Look what you're doing. You're painting the figure. Look at the action you've got going on already. And there's nobody in front of you. I hope not. This is why I like to use these large brushes with lots of water. It's pretty much serendipity, isn't it? And you practice this over and over and over. I actually recommend doing this on a full sheet of watercolor paper. It's 22 by 30. And you do a whole sheet of them, do several rows of them. I know some watercolorists love to take just this exercise with 3 rows of these carrot figures, and that's the painting. Far out, huh? And obviously, look, I mean, it's very graphic. It looks great. When you do this, though, by the way, don't forget to put the shadow. So I'm going to put a shadow in here because that helps to anchor them. Somebody has a question, please.
Bob, I just wanted to let everyone that's watching know that if you open up the chat right now, Kate Burridge is putting in all of the information on paper and paints and brushes. So
Cool.
if you're wondering what he's using, it's all in the chat.
That's cool. Thanks, Gabriel. This is so great. This is so great for everyone, even in this, because I know how the technology and all that good stuff is, but everybody's here. So I'm pleased to be here and pleased to be with my other fellow painters. So look at that. They were just carrots and just with really wet, just black paint, no white in here. And I don't have that much time tonight with everyone, and I would love to, but you've got to practice this a lot. Normally I could spend an hour doing these combinations. I have some here. I start off here, and then I start doing it with color.
Are you gonna do some color tonight?
I think I should do some colors right next. And on the figure on the right, it's what I really like to do, is what I call the Rembrandt lighting, where the top part of the figure is behind the figure is dark. And as it goes down behind the figure, it gets lighter and all the way down to the lightness. And the figure itself, feet area, gets to be dark. I just wanted to show you that that's what I'm about to do next, right? So we're going to do some things with color just for the heck of it. And then we will do the Rembrandt lighting. Okay, cool. We'll get back to that. And just for fun, I thought I'd show you a full sheet. Here's a full sheet, 22 by 30 of doing a whole bunch of color, what I call the carrots. Look at the personality of everybody. What a great way to loosen up. You've got to do this. And you know, they don't have to be all straight up and down, as you can see by this little person exercising, but they don't have to be all up, straight up and down, and you know, and have them connected with each other. It's great, Kate. And I like it when they start interact like this. Speaking about a full sheet, this is great, Kate. Kate just pulled out of the bag another wonderful one of my early warm-ups. Look at the warm-up, and this is how it starts.
And you could put color on those.
Yeah. All right, I'll do that. All right. So after you do this, you can put color on top of this. And like, why not? By doing that, what you're doing really is you're loosening up your techniques about painting. You know, first of all, I was so impressed by tonight's presentation of all the watercolors. And their quality of execution blew me away. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to show them how to loosen up. Well, I don't think I need to show anybody how to loosen up. But if you wanted to, this is how I loosen up too. Anyway, I just really am speechless how beautiful the work and the presentation, by the way, Gabriel and everybody else that went through all of that and put that together for me. But anyway, so here I am doing what works for me. It's mostly about what works for me. Oh gosh. And maybe I'm just impatient. I don't have that wonderful skill that so many other people have. So here's my carrots. So here's a sheet with my carrots. Sometimes I just go like, whoa, I'm not really inspired today, but let's try something new and different. So I'm going to start putting color on top of my carrots. These have already been dried. And who knows where this is going to go? So this is what I'm about to do right now. These are my early morning warm-ups when I get into the studio. Instead of going out for that perfect painting and working all day long on it for several weeks, I'd much rather go in and have this kind of almost a exercise. It's like a stretching exercise for me. And I make sure I do it really loose. I'm fortunate enough to be able to still stand. So I stand and look where I'm holding my brush. Back here. Not up here. This will tighten you up quicker than anything. See, you start painting like this. There's a reason brushes are long. Whoa. So you hold it back here. And that's the whole idea, is to be able to paint from back here, not 4 inches away from the painting. At least that's how I work. I'm not saying I'm not the way. I'm just one way. Okay. Here we go. Let's get some color in there for pure fun. This is where I work all over the place.
Is there any rhyme or reason?
No, there's absolutely, Kate just says there's any rhyme. Absolutely no reason I'm doing what I'm doing other than like, let's see what else happens. Maybe I can do something that's interesting here. And you know, oh boy, this will get you into painting a whole lot looser, everybody. And see how I'm dipping into all my colors? And I'm not changing my brush either. You know, it's not all going to be great. Okay. I'm not looking for that.
And I have to ask the question
Yeah,
that
great.
everyone always asks. What about, is there a difference in your carrots between male and female?
Oh God, I love that. I love that. Did you hear? I'm going to repeat what Kate just said. I'm going to show you the difference. I am asked this question an awful lot. Jeez. And I'll answer it in a minute. I'm just having too much fun painting this right now. How can you tell the difference between male and female? And most of you know the answer, but I'll address it anyway. Boy, I like where this is all going. This was It's a happy time to paint. So it's become a whole lot livelier, right? So there's those carrots. It's so important that you practice this over and over and over and over, and not to make them look so much like carrots, but you get the idea. Small heads, strong torsos, comes down to a narrow part where the feet are, and make sure you anchor them. Look at this, you gotta anchor them. Otherwise, they're floating in space. Okay. And then after, if you want to, watch what I'm about to do here, you can come in and do some negative shape painting. I will do it with only just a few here. Negative shape painting means I'm going to be taking pure white, just titanium white, which means it's opaque. I'm adding a little bit of blue to it. You can see it here. I'm doing all my mixing on the table. That's the color I want. I'm holding the brush on the back and lots of water. The reason I use lots of water is so that paint flows off the brush. You guys know this stuff. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to work on this one little section. Just to make it more dramatic. And I'll leave some of the other color that's underneath, have that pop through too. My gosh, why not? Well, this pretty interesting character. And don't stay in one place too long. You'll start to, I like to say, tickle it to death. So stop tickling your paintings. I'm gonna do one more over here. This is the other person. Broad shoulders, narrow hip. And then I'm going to show male, female as requested. I'm really enjoying doing this painting. So you see how that gets developed? Originally, they were carrots. Start adding color. And then you can come in with opaque paints. This one happens to be gesso. And kind of redraw it with a brush. Boy, I do like this one a lot. Bring it down more, give it more elegance. There we go. It's hard to keep my brush off of it. All right. So now here's one super quick demo on the difference between male and female. And forgive me if this is so obvious, but as a painter, I like to introduce this into the painting to show male or female, and this is what I use. And I'm not telling you anything new. Brush. If you were an archaeologist, you know all about this. So here's the head. There you go. There's one head. And this will be The male, broad shoulders, narrow hips, down come the legs. All right. So when they do this, look at skeletons. It's pretty obvious. They know which one's what. One more thing here. Oh, what is this? So they know that. You know that too. So there you go. And so that usually answers the question, how can you tell in my carrot people, which are which? So it's pretty much exaggerated over here. Men's torsos are usually wider, hips are narrower. Women, thank you very much. Wider hips, narrow shoulders. Make sure you do all your heads small. We tend to make our heads too small. All right, I'm gonna let this go for about a minute. Then I'm gonna show you something a little bit different on the same size paper. All righty, so practice this on some of your pieces. I'm gonna be right here. If anybody has, I'm gonna be here, okay.
This is not, this is a demo.
This
not
is
a
a demo.
workshop.
I know. He's turned out all right.
We don't have any questions yet in the comment box, the chat box yet. But
Well,
Bob, I do have a question.
oh, great.
So do you, the paints that are off to the right of those, is there any color scheme or anything that you go by when you're doing
Great
these?
question. Great question, Gabriel. Tonight, no. Tonight, no. I just knew I wanted to put some warm tones. I have pyro red. I have my opera here, my hot pink opera, and some marigold. Just because I like this bright stuff to throw into a painting. And then I wanted to back off a little bit from the hots. So I put in a compost blue. I have a marigold blue here. And what the heck, I put in a middle green, just to kick it up some more. Now, in the third row, I just decided I needed a brighter yellow. So I did put a Hansa yellow in there. And I said, you know what? I always run out of hot pink. So I got some more, I put some more opera in there and another big dollop of pyro red. So I don't really have a scheme other than I like to have the primaries that I can mess around with quickly when I do my demos like this, as opposed to working on a week-long painting or something like that, because I can get my points across quicker. And I do have my white paint here. This is my white gesso. You know, but that I love my white gesso. I love my white gesso. And my black again is the lamp black. Just squeeze it up. Again, the reason I put everything out, not in trays or paper plates, things like I put it here so I can move my brush around and intermix, which tends to hold the painting together. Hey, Gabriel, did I answer your question? I don't know. I started talking and
You did answer my question. Thank you. And can you
all
talk
right.
the bristles on your brush? I always like how you talk about the bristles.
Oh, wow.
How they're
Okay.
not limpy and they don't just lay to the side.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Let me go over to get my brushes over here. I'll do this quickly here.
Do you want to be on the back view? Or
Sure, the
overview?
back view, sure. Wow, it's fun.
Okay.
I I like this, Gabriel, because I can show you, you have a question and I can show you, and I'm ready to show you. I'll try to make this a quick presentation here. So many artists put so much allegiance and confidence in brushes. I use them as a tool. And meaning I'll use my hands. I use paper towels. And I use really, really good brushes because I beat them up. I don't treat them with respect, that kind of respect that they deserve. When I buy a brush, I can't buy a brush from a catalog. It says actual size and all that. No, I have to go to a really good art store. Watch me, a really good art store. And stand in front of that incredible display of all those brushes, which just actually annihilates you, doesn't it? So I love oil painting, I love watercolor painting, and I love acrylic painting. The brushes are unique for each of those flavors. So I like a brush that actually can, for acrylic painting, that's what we're going to talk about. I like a brush that's strong enough, a bristle. I can pick up the color and swab it right on there. And there it goes. It's a whole lot different than watercolor painting. It's a whole lot different than maybe even oil painting, right? But I like the combination of throwing paint all over the place, moving around. So the bristles I use are they're like an acrylic bristle. So they're somewhat stiff, but they also have a great flexibility. Some of the ones I like to use, here's one, but basically it's from Holbein. It's one of the ones I just happen to use a lot. And it's a rock cliff, and it really takes a lot of beating. So it almost looks like a sable brush, but it is not a sable brush. Okay, but it's soft. I have to let you know, it bounces back, and that's what unlike a watercolor brush, you want the watercolor brush to be natural, so it won't bounce back. This has a lot of spring to it. I love this brush. And that whole series, they come the bigger, all right? I'm not gonna get into the whole thing here. I'm looking at my bunch of brushes here that I also paint with big brushes like this. Okay, this is from Escoda. That's the name of this company. They're handmade in Spain, since you asked. And so it's almost like a pigtail kind of a fiber. It's just fantastic, and it takes a beating. Look at the handle, how beautiful this handle is. And I get these from the Cheap Joe catalog. Okay, it's fantastic when you're painting big, and they have all different shapes and sizes. All right, sounds like I'm selling brushes tonight. Also, I like these brushes a lot. These are from Cheap Joe's also, Raphael's. They look like sable brushes, but they're not. So if you do a lot of washes, Raphael's, Joe calls them, I think Cheap Joe catalog calls them pseudo sables, which makes a lot of sense. They're soft, look, soft, really nice, right? They're fantastic for just lots of washes of acrylics and also watercolors. So I do have a whole lot of these sitting around here. And by the way, when you store your brushes, this is a side comment. When you store your brushes, don't put them in those tiny little coffee cups. You know what's going to happen. They'll fall over. Take 3 of these, I don't know, juice cans like this, put tape around them. It won't fall over. There's even tape down here too. it won't fall over. So it's a great way. I'm just suggesting how you do that stuff. All right, so wide brushes, big brushes. Let's get into more what I would call the Rembrandt stuff, right? All right,
Overhead,
we're going overhead right now.
okay.
Thanks for sharing, Bob.
Hey, that's great. Thanks for asking these great questions. You know, I like to share what works for me with everybody. You know, you've all made an investment to watch these, and I think you should all go away with something that you can use and use in your own work. But these are tiny, tiny little suggestions, and they're great little exercises that I do it every day. So we just got finished doing the figures, the male, female figure. All right. So what about when you actually put it into a scene? What I like to do is a little quick little cutout. Here's a great piece of paper. There's your midtone. Here comes the carrot. Tiny little head. Don't touch the midtone paper. Give me the dark down here. Now we come in with the Rembrandt technique. Light against dark. Voila, done. It's one of the nice things about working on a midtone, and that's why a lot of your drawing papers come as a midtone paper. Strathmore, those papers, they already come with a gray or a tan paper. You're already halfway done. You just have to put the darkest darks and the lightest lights. So what you're really doing, this kind of a goofy little example, is you're taking the dark shape and connecting it with the next dark shape on the top. I'll just let that sink in for a second. So oversimplification here, but I'm taking a dark shape and a white shape. I'm jamming them together. But one of the things I want to point out to you is you don't put it right through the middle of the belt or the cummerbund. You don't want to cut them in half. Notice how I softened it. You don't see a straight line across. Here's another good example of that, of what I'm talking about. And so we have the darkest darks to the midtone to the light. And the figure, well, there's your carrot figure, because you practiced it 100 times. And so again, we're going to put the dark at the bottom, light at the top, small head. I'd love to see you all be doing something like that. Or I'm going to be doing it myself, right? I'm going to be doing it. Get rid of this one right here. Oh, good. Look, the paper's ready to go. Hope you're all doing okay, everybody. This is one of my favorite little demos to show everybody about negative shape painting. All right, rid of all my brushes.
Well, Bob, you've got a lot of people watching. We've had more people join. You have people all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast to the top of the states to the bottom of the states. I'm looking at everybody that's here.
Look at this right now. Thank you, Gabriel. Well, you know, that's one of the most wonderful things I finally came to realize with these Zoom types of connections is we can get people from all over the world all at the same time. And I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this if I was in a, you know, in an actual workshop live in a community center or something like that. And so we are all being able to connect with other artists all over the world. Holy cow. So it's a great thing. I'm looking at the good side of all of this. All right. So thanks, Gabriel, for telling me this. So I want to do, I'm going to go overhead. We have about, 30 minutes or less. Isn't that amazing? To do one more demo, I want to show you about doing negative shape painting. And I want you to practice this someday. Maybe not today. I may not have time with that for you. Sorry. So I always think about the value of the paper. Black is black, mid-tone, the lightest. So I'm going to start right off the bat with that. This has already been toned down. I'm working on a small piece of paper, just so I can get the demo done quickly. All right. And I do work fast, by the way. So already, in this little 5-inch by 7-inch piece of watercolor paper, you can see it's happening, can't you? Since I still have black on my brush, I'm going to, again, hold the brush from the back and start doing this part. Why not? Come in with the head. This is called negative shape painting, making sure the head is small. Looks very theatrical, doesn't it? And I go with it. When I do this kind of work, I don't try to have a theme yet. More water in the brush. I'm only using water on the brush to make this softer, so it blends a little bit better. Yeah, better. And that's with pure water, come in with more negatives. Oh, well. So theatrical. And I want to lighten up the head. Remember not to make the head so big. I'm going to use my finger here. Come down into the chest. See? Whoa. Soften this back edge. And with the other end of your brush, you can scrape and bring in some lines and draw it. See? Whoa. So what we're doing here is dark against light. Dark against light. And it's okay to make it mysterious and not to give the viewer all the pieces of information. That is the most important part about tonight. Yes, you're all good at doing it. And yes, you can do it. I've seen it tonight. Look at the award winners. They're spectacular. But isn't it wonderful every once in a while to kind of get off the rail, so to speak, and do something with a little more oomph? So I've shown you tonight the difference here, male, female, and you know that. Now I have all these other small little pieces from my previous painting group where we had the undraped model. So what I like to do anyway, is to go back and at each one, punch it up a little bit more. But I also want to show you about transparent colors. This was all black and white. It's good to know about transparent colors. Just look on the label. It will say transparent, right? This happens to be marigold, Holbein. Watch what happens to this boring black and white painting. All right. And the reason it pops, the reason it pops is because I already have the lights and the darks already pre-established. Woo. I can come in more with more whites in here. Paper towels, everybody. This is fun. So much for working with your four-hair brush. You come back in here again. Negative shape painting. There we go. It starts to glow.
And Bob, you have a question.
Good.
If you want your acrylic on paper pieces to last, is it best to prime the paper with soft gel gloss or another medium first?
Wonderful question. Thank you so much. It's going to be a two-level question answer. All right. So let me answer it, and then we come back and see if I can make it more clear. I like where this is going, by the way. So I just want to finish this part here. Great question. So say, I don't know what it looked like 2 minutes ago, but I'm really liking where it's going. Working with negative shape painting, without a model in front of me. All right, the question was, is it about the glosses?
No, I'm asking, do you find it here?
It's a good
If
question.
you want your acrylic on paper pieces to last, is it best to prime the paper with a soft gel gloss or another medium first?
All right, thank you. Good question. All right, watercolor paper has been designed to be a blotter. You're a watercolorist. You put that color down, it soaks right in. I like watercolor paper a lot. But the problem for me was after it soaks in, I don't have any play time. I like to mess it around. I'm coming from the days of learning how to be an oil painter, where I can move things around. So coming into watercolor was a little bit different. That's why I like acrylic paintings, because it's a kind of a combination of both to be physical. When I paint acrylic and or oil, you want to paint on canvas. And usually to make the paint stick better, they put a primer on it. That's why it says pre-primed. And they put an acrylic primer on canvases. And they accept your acrylic paints and also your oil paints beautifully. That's what it's designed to do. All right. When I buy an acrylic prime canvas, I actually reprime it just so I get my own DNA all over it. Right. I also do it to my watercolor paper, that beautiful, expensive watercolor paper, because so when I paint on a canvas or a piece of watercolor paper, I know how the paints that I use will react the same way, whether it's a canvas or on paper. Paper will soak it up. I can't move it around. Canvases will react differently. That's the only reason I put gesso and re-gesso everything. You don't have to do it. I just have to let you know that. I love Kilimanjaro paper. It's Cheap Joe's Kilimanjaro paper, 300 pound. You don't have, it's already beautiful. And yes, I paint directly right on it with acrylic paints also. So I've just talked out of the other side of my mouth to let you know I'm a painter. So it's not that important about the substrate. I hope I was able to answer that question. How are we doing, Kate? Am I doing one more painting?
Sure, we have enough time for one more painting and then we can take more questions.
Cool.
So Bob, you want me to go on the overhead
Let's go
now?
overhead, sure. This is fun.
Be careful with your head.
I'll be careful. I keep putting my head, I'm sorry, everybody, my head keeps growing through the night as the day goes. I can, all I have to do is adjust it. Don't look, I'm adjusting my camera.
No.
I know this, I see it. Jesus, I see it. There you go.
Sorry about the roller coaster ride.
Aren't they fun? I'm gonna use this one. So these are quick, these are 1 minute or 2 minutes. I think these were 2 minute painting exercises that we had just yesterday. So I'm going to tape them down and then I'm going to start putting some color on top of them. And what I'm really showing you is, I mean, I guess could have started out in color, but I also wanted to show you mostly tonight is the value of why you should know and think about darks and lights before you even do the painting. I know you're excited about color, want to do color, and that's why I think a lot of them are just so flat. There's not enough contrast. So again, this is my own personal opinion. Right? So here are these little 2 minute black and whites, acrylic washes. We didn't have too much time. And that's what I like about them because they're so quick. And now I'm going to be able to put some transparent colors on top of them, and we'll see where it goes from there. All right. All right. Tape me down a little bit better. You guys are so quiet tonight. So here's marigold. I know it's transparent because it says so right there on the tube. This is Holbein. Also, you know, golden has their own transparent gold colors too. Just look on the label. Everybody has their own transparent colors. I happen to like this color, and today at least. I also have some hot opera pink, which is also transparent. I just want to really have a little more fun with this. I know it's going to work. Whatever I'm going to do, it will work because I already have the contrasts down. Wet the paper towel just a little bit. Here we go. So you can see why I tape it down. I don't want to have one hand. holding the paper and yeah. Wow, look, what a complete change, right? Now, a little bit of this opera. Why not? Let's be irresponsible. Whoa. We warmed it up. Someone asked me, do I do man figures too? Well, there you are. Of course I do. I paint the figure.
And that's a paper towel you're using.
I'm using a paper towel, you know. And again, I'm just doing this on very early pieces that we did yesterday. We didn't have a whole lot of time to work on them because they're only like 2-minute black and white sketches. But that's what's so much fun, is to come back the next day after it has dried and come in with other colors. And I'm going to do it right now.
Watch your head.
I'll be careful. Sorry about my head. Oh boy. So here's color that's already sitting out here. Whew. Let's see what this guy has here. Red-winged blackbird. That is, I know. It's nice to add a little bit of blue in here. And the only reason I used this blue is because it was sitting out here. I didn't think about a color scheme. I like to do these small little, just like this. They don't have to be super meaningful. I like how graphic they can be at times, like this. Speaking of graphics, I'm going to bring in the black. It makes it more contrast. And reshape the shoulders. Again, holding the brush at the back end. Man. And again, dark against light, dark against light. It seems like a really sweet pose, and it was a sweet pose, I remember. Bent over like this. Again, don't give the viewers all the pieces of information.
That's great.
I'm just going to give a little bit of a shadow here. Thanks, Kate. Remember, these were black and white drawing paintings. And after they've dried, that's what I love about acrylics. They're permanent. Water them down. Now, here's the thing I really want to talk about. If you're going to use any paints and you water them down, just please know, most of you know this, just please know that when you take a paint that doesn't have a lot of pigment in it, the less expensive paints, when you thin it down, it won't be really smooth. It'll be little chunks of colors and whatever it is that they put in those things. So I learned my lesson by investing in better paints. And that's why I mentioned the ones that I mentioned. Because when you thin them down, It's the best part. When you thin them down, they act like a watercolor and they don't break apart. Mhm. All right. Yeah. Mhm. 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 My head, I know my head. Sorry. Well, I do like these little sketches. It's fun to do little sketches like this. You haven't spent that much time or paint, and you tend to be more brave. I found that you artists, when you paint like this, you're a lot more brave because of the time and how much paint you haven't used, and you tend to be more experimental. So give yourself that luxury. This is kind of a good example of, they don't have to be huge paintings. And do lots of them, not just one or two. Remember, these are black and whites. Okay, so I got the values down first, and then with transparent paints, I like to walk back into it. And these were watercolor paper, no gesso, and it was all Fabriano Studio watercolor paper, 140. Pretty nice, huh? I didn't have to stretch it out, put the blue tape on it, and do that whole ritual. It's only two sheets right there. There's two sheets, I guess.
Do you want the spotlight back?
No, we're good. We'll keep it up here for now. And of course, you notice that they're not all wonderful. One or two of them I prefer to like a whole lot more than the others. It's okay. It's not what they're not meant to be finished museum quality paintings. This is you sketching and painting. You know how many times I've talked to you about paint sketching? Well, this is a good example of it. All right. I do this in watercolor all the time too, because I love how it flows, right?
You do have another question.
Oh, good, thanks.
What is the paper you have covering your table?
Oh, thank you. I have two types of paper that I use to cover my the paper. This one is a simple brown craft paper from a craft roll from Uline. And I use that color because it doesn't, normally I paint on white. But the white would glare back into the camera too much. And so I try to put down like a neutral tone, even though it's brown, it's trying to be neutral here. So you get to see the color better. And great question, great observation. So that's why I use brown paper. It's a lot cheaper too. Normally it would be that white butcher block paper that we all like.
And what about the plastic?
Oh, the plastic. On all of my tables, I stretch out a sheet of plastic and I tape it down very, very, very tight. So much, just really tight plastic covering on all of my tables. I paint flat and I use the table as my palette. Doing my mixing on this plastic. The plastic is, I've gotten it at the local hardware store. The most important thing, when you do buy the plastic, go into the paint department. Don't talk to anybody. They will talk you out of it. You want 4 mil thick plastic. It's not painter's drop cloth. It's not a shower curtain. It's not a picnic table plastic. It's 4 mil. It will say it clearly on the cover, and it's in the paint department. Just tell them you want 4 mil thick plastic. If they ask you what you want it for, do not tell them. You get a roll of it, and you bring it home, and you cover all your tables, and you just glue it down really tight. And that table becomes, now here's the best part, that becomes my palette. I mix my paints on my palettes, as you've seen previously. And 3 days later, here it comes, the best part. 3 days later, that paint peels off like little skins, like a sunburn. They all peel off. And now you have some collage pieces. It's all acrylic. And the plastic is absolutely clear again.
So you have 2 more questions. Someone wants to know, how high is your table and table leg extenders and such as that?
Everybody has personal choices. And I do have those plastic tables, and I do have those PVC pipes, 12 inches and 14 inches. So you can stick them underneath the legs. So some people like to paint with the tables right up to here. Well, good. It's your preference. The way I paint was to not be up to whoa, but to be away from the painting. And that's why I paint with brushes that look like this. So I get to be further away, so I get to be a whole lot looser. It's what I do. And so my tables are actually lower than picnic tables and things like that. I do stand. I'm fortunate to be able to do that. So I stand, and I paint. You've seen videos of me painting like this. And so I paint, and sometimes I even put the canvas on the floor. So what height is whatever is the most comfortable for you. That's the only way I know how to answer that. Any more, Kate? No.
Yes, there is.
Cool.
Your water bucket, what kind of bucket do you use?
Oh,
for your water?
what a great question. First of all, it's not a teacup. All right. I like these low, I'm going to show you. This is a low plastic bucket. It's about 10 inches in diameter. I have many of them. And I have it sitting on a stool next to my table. And it happens to be the same height. The water and the table are the same height. I think you're starting to get it here. And so when I do my painting, I don't have to reach way up and dip my brush into a 5-gallon bucket of water. When I'm doing my painting, watch me. Boom, 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 boom. You don't want to be looking around the orifice of that little tiny little bucket of water that you've got. So the bigger bucket of water, and it doesn't have to be deep. Okay. And so I think I've found the perfect formula where it's only about 4 or 5 inches deep, these little plastic buckets from the hardware store. And I put it on a stool next to my table. So when I'm painting, it's all the same size. Great question. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Are we finished?
I think we might be
We
finished.
might be finished.
Gabriel, we might be finished.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
I-
no, thanks. Thanks,
I
Gabriel.
really appreciate you coming down. This was a wonderful demo. I think everybody, I saw several people taking notes, and maybe even a few of you were even painting, it looked like. And how
Yay.
exciting.
Right.
And where can
Thanks.
people find you, Bob?
Thank you.
Say that again, Gabriel.
Where can people find out more about Bob?
Oh,
Thank you. I'm going to put our website in the chat. It is www.robertburridge.com. And we have, we basically call it Bobland. So on our website, we have workshops. We have a program that we call Date Night with Bob, which are 2-hour sessions. They're really fun.
Yeah.
We're working with a wonderful model on Thursday nights from 4 to 6 p.m. And then we have other classes. It's Date Night with Bob, the brunch edition on Sundays from 11 until 1. We also have full-fledged Zoom workshops. We have all those on the schedule. We do some art marketing workshops. And my gosh, monthly demos. So if you're interested, you can, of course, please sign up for our Bob Blast. Comes out every Monday morning, and come join the fun.
I know. It's great.
I saw
I'll
a
be
lot
here.
of eyes really wake up when there was a art marketing, I heard something.
Yep, art marketing.
Yeah.
We also do some classes through the Small Business Administration, and there is a free one. They do a wonderful job. It's on our website coming up at the end of May, and it's about pricing. So if you are interested, please go on our website. You can click over and register for this free workshop. There's a question about how do we sign up for the Bob Blast. Again, go to our website and scroll down to the bottom, and there's a little link right there that says sign up for the Bob Blast. That's all you have to do. And they're free and they're fun.
And there's a lot of them, and they're archived, and so you can always go back and forth and look at them again and again. And so we titled all of them so you kind of know what you're going to look for. The best part is that they're short, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes long, and that's about it. And as Kate mentioned, they're free. You got to do it. They're fun.
We also we've been running some painting contests with prizes and everything. So we've done a couple of those, and we're going to be doing another one in a couple of months. So we're busy. And
I was going to
it's an
say
awful
we're
lot of fun.
busy.
Yeah, we're busy, and we really appreciate being asked to do this, and very excited that the show is coming up, that Bob is the juror for the Violet Hughes.
Oh,
Can't
wow.
wait-
Wow.
Can't wait to see
Wow.
everybody's images.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. And thanks, Gabriel, for putting this together. We'll see everybody later on, and keep your brushes wet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Bob.
Bob. Thank you very